With me today on the Agents to Owners podcast, I have from Buffalo, New York, Mr. Tom Larsen, founder of Larsen Insurance Agency, which he founded well over 20 years ago. Tom specializes in landlords, pizzerias, high value homeowners. Tom, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Brad.
Yeah, excited to have you on the show. I enjoyed getting to know you a little bit better at the recent innovation conference.
Yep.
And so I'm excited to get you on here and talk
Yeah.
about
Oh,
what I learned a little bit about innovation. So, why don't you tell us a little bit how you got started with insurance and bring us up to this point now?
sure. So 33 years ago, I got out of the restaurant business, which I was in for about 8 years. And my friend who I went to high school with owned an insurance agency and said, "You ever think about selling insurance?" I said, "No, not really." So I started working there as a producer and commission only. Luckily, at the time, my wife had a good job. But I refereed hockey, I tended bar, I owned some rental real estate, and then I had a commission only position. So I had multiple streams of income coming in, and one of my very good friends ran a group called Western New York Real Estate Investor Group, so WNYREI.com. And so I volunteered at his meetings. And before you knew it, he was from the front of the stage at these meetings. He was promoting me as a landlord expert. And the ball started rolling from there. The agency I was with was a primarily auto insurance marketplace, you might want to say. And I was growing this landlord type of division. That was my focus, or that's who I was going after. And so it just evolved from there. And then when his kids came into the business 20 years ago, I saw the writing on the wall, and I decided to leave and start a scratch agency. And because the companies that were in the landlord space sort of knew me for 12 years, 12 and a half years, pretty much gave me direct appointments right away. And so I took off, and landlords still to this day, 20 something years later, 20 and a half years later, it's still our biggest niche.
Yeah,
So,
which
and
great
then,
niche.
and then my good friend Nick, about maybe eight years ago or so, 9 years ago, said, he's older than me, so he ended up selling all his rental properties to his nephew, and he said, "Tom, just why don't you just take over the group and run the group?" And so I have for the last 8 9 years. I run the group. I'm known as the real estate expert in Buffalo, and we probably write, I don't know, 6 7 policies a week for landlords. So that's our niche. That's uh, served us very well. Very well, actually. It's a great niche because there's no service work. Either they refinance, so they need a new certificate of insurance, or there could be a claim at claim time. But other than that, it's not like auto insurance where they're getting accidents, changing cars, calling about building issues. We don't, we have some of that because obviously we sell all
Yeah.
lines of insurance, but for the most part, the real estate niche, the landlord niche, um, it just keeps growing because once a landlord buys one property, they buy five, they buy six, they buy eight. We have one client that owns 25. So it just naturally grows until they sell and get out.
So talk a little bit about that group, like how often they meet, what you kind of do, and
Um,
then sorry, go ahead.
sure.
Yeah.
So we meet once a month. We don't meet during the summer. Just at a local. It used to be at a Holiday Inn until they went bankrupt, and so I moved it around to different locally owned restaurants because I want to give the local people the business. And we have about 50 to 60 that show up every meeting. We have about 120 or so paid members. And then we have 17. I have to look. I think we have like 1,800 maybe in the Facebook group.
Oh,
Something.
wow.
So I'm always posted in there. I just want to look and tell you how many.
Do you also run the Facebook group?
Yes. Yeah.
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 So
No.
1659 is our number in our Facebook group.
Wow.
And I monitor that because I'm the admin of the group,
Yep.
and I monitor that for making sure that people don't sneak in that want to sell, multi-level marketing stuff or whatever. So I monitor that pretty closely. And then, like our meeting this Thursday, uh, Jim Roberts, who's a very good client of mine, owns Metro Roberts Real Estate with 7 offices, and he created a private money division. So he's talking about using private money to flip houses or get into your investment before then you go and maybe get traditional financing after your acquisition and your fix up of the property and stuff. So he has a whole talk that he's going to talk on Thursday night about private money lending. So
So, how much work would you say it is to run a Facebook group like that? I think it's a little bit more involved than what I think a lot of people think, isn't it?
no, not really. I
Okay.
mean, like I'll I usually wake up 6 o'clock in the morning. I'll open up my laptop with my coffee and I'll fire away. I mean, if in my group, if I put in there the rules, if you start talking about um, religion or politics, you're gone. If you don't have your own picture, if you got a picture of your dog or something, you're gone.
Mm.
If you're trying to promote some bullshit thing, you're gone.
Yeah.
I really try to keep it pure and related just to real estate and real estate investments, and it's worked out well. So that's the beauty of being an admin of your own group, is that you decide who you let in
Yeah.
and who you don't let in.
Yeah.
So
Now, between, with that group, I'd imagine you just become the go-to guy
right,
for
correct,
your landlords.
right. And what's nice in New York, at least, we have like 8 small little, what you would call a co-op insurance
Yeah.
company that, because of their structure or what have you, they don't write in New York City. So they don't write in the 5 boroughs. They only write across the rest of the state. So it sort of protects them a little bit from getting adverse risk out of New York City. And we have like 8 of those, and they all write landlord policies. They don't write
Yeah.
any auto insurance whatsoever. They write commercial property, BOPs, landlord policies, all that kind of stuff. So it works out well because we got the markets for anybody that buys property.
Yeah.
So
So you started your scratch agency 20 years ago, which you have what everybody needs, where you're able to have markets. Um, and somewhere along the line, you started to create your own cluster group.
correct.
So how did that come about?
3 of us started our own little cluster group, which was or is an LLC. And by being an LLC means we're each owners of the LLC. So we're a master agency, not a cluster or a aggregator or whatever you want to call it. We're a master agency because we're an LLC. And then a friend of mine heard about it, um, that I used to play softball with, fast pitch softball. And he said, what about me joining? So he came in. Then a fifth one came in. And now, since then, there's been 5 people that have left Allstate in the last 4 years or so. And so now we're up to 10 people. And one of them, matter of fact, he looked into all the clusters out there, every single one of them, Iroquois and SIAA and all the different clusters out there, and came to us because we charge $500 a year to belong, and they're now a member of an LLC.
Yeah.
So there's not somebody that like in a typical cluster arrangement, you can be bounced out, you can, be tossed out by the leader of the group or whatever. But now here, they're a member of the LLC, and in order to get bounced out, it has to be 75% um, of the vote to bounce you out. But so far, like tomorrow is our luncheon meeting is tomorrow. We usually have the company reps come in, they buy everybody lunch, they give their, you know, little show there
Yeah.
for about half hour, 45 minutes. Then we kick them out, and then we have our group meeting for the rest of the time. So it's usually takes about 3 hours to go through the whole
Okay.
thing. It's always at my buddy that runs our group, Paul. He belongs to a country club, and it's always at the country club in one of their conference rooms, and it's worked out really well, really well. I mean,
Yeah.
we're like a $26 million group now, something like
Wow.
that. Yeah. So
And how does that benefit being not associated with your, um, traditional network? How does that benefit all you guys, really?
it's 100% pass through.
Yeah.
It's just the $500 a year to join. It's 100% pass through. And then the bonus money is just divided up at bonus time with depends on what your percentage is. If it's
Yeah.
8.7% of the group is that's what you get out of your bonus, 8.7% of whatever that bonus money is. So it's easy to track, easy to administer, easy. We have one guy that sort of runs the group, and then his son is buying in the middle of buying out his agency, and a girl that works for the son works for us about 10, 12 hours a month, and we pay her to sort of track the numbers for us and put the reports together and stuff like that. So
What happens if someone retires or passes away
we have
unexpectedly?
built in a 1.5 times buyout and or match the offer. It hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
Actually, it did happen. Let me back up. So this woman that was in our group that is about maybe 45 minutes to an hour south of me, um, her husband was an Allstate guy. She was independent. They owned a house in Florida and Cape Coral for the last dozen years or so, and she decided she wanted to sell and brought it to the group, but nobody wanted to drive that hour down south. So she ended up selling out to a bank, and it worked out good for her. And she left the group, and the bank's not part of our group, but nobody wanted to buy her agency, so she sold out independently to somebody else. So
Okay.
but as far as retirement,
Yeah.
that hasn't happened yet. So
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, I was just curious about that. I know we talked a little bit about that before, and of course, that I'm doing really fine tuning my perpetuation plan now. So I've got me in that mindset of a
yeah,
lot of things. And with 10 owners, I would guess that's already in writing. If someone passes away, what happens, who retains that book, who handles it, that sort of thing.
yeah, we
Um,
actually have a contract. So everyone signs a contract when they join the group.
okay.
So it's actually written in the contract. And it hasn't happened yet, but you know, the the reason for it is in case somebody does not have a perpetuation, like I don't. I have one daughter, and she lives in Chicago, and she's no clue to join this group. So,
Yeah.
um, and then my other friend Frank, who has one child, also a son, and his son lives in Florida, and he has no interest in. Frankie Jr. doesn't have any interest in the dad's
Okay.
business either. So it's eventually going to come down to, who wants to sell or who's ready to retire or who wants out, and
Yeah.
then either the other members have a chance to buy you out, or you turn around and sell it to the highest bidder. And if they don't want it at that point to match the offer, then it goes away and it's no longer part of the LLC. You
Yeah.
actually, um,
Okay.
you actually disassemble or get out of the LLC as a
Yeah.
member. So,
Yeah. I want to back up a little bit to
yeah.
your transition from the agency that you were with your friend from high school, and then starting your own agency, because I talked to so many people who were involved in a sticky situation, whether it be friends, most of the time family, and I'm sure you've come across so many people over the years of who've been involved in a difficult situation. I mean, I know five off the top of my head that have had this, that are breaking away from their own family, and it's been
Mhm.
very, very difficult.
Yeah.
Um, Talk a little bit about what that was like, and because you left all your business behind, correct?
Yeah. My mistake, my fault. Um, we were such good friends and went out to dinner together with our wives all the time
Yeah.
that we just had a verbal agreement. So we never had anything in writing. Again, my fault. My um, bad karma, whatever you want to call it, bad business acumen. Um, but he had agreed that my business was my business.
Mm,
And he actually had a printout of all of my accounts, all my business on his desk and had agreed to release it to me. And this was in April of 2003, um, probably June. I said, Rick, when are you going to give me my book, release my accounts? I haven't had time to look at it yet. Then September rolls around. Rick, when are you going to release my accounts? I haven't had time to look at it yet. Um, October rolls around. Rick, when are you going to release my account? I haven't had time to look at it yet. So he never did release my book of business to me. But because of my real estate niche, a lot of people did find me.
right.
So if I had to guess, I would probably say I got probably 70% of my book that I either rewrote or just BOR'd over or whatever. So I probably lost about 30% in the transition, but that's looking backwards, and you can't fix something looking
Yeah.
backwards. So
Yeah.
move on, and you know do your own thing and whatever. So
What advice would you have for someone that's in a similar situation?
get it in writing.
Yeah.
Get it in writing. As good of a friends we were, and as close as we were, as close as our spouses were, um, you still need to get it in writing. It's just my bad, my fault, but get it in writing. You never know when all of a sudden the kids grow up, they start coming into business, they have different ideas, different thoughts, different processes, and um, for a little while there, I was still going over there in the first few months and working on their computers. And then Junior came over to me one day and says, Tom, I don't feel comfortable having you log into our system and into our computer. And I said, okay, I'm out of here. And that was it. I never went back. I never showed my face again. So obviously, Junior had Dad's ear,
Mm,
and since then, it's funny because since then, probably 6 years ago, maybe the father sold out to Freeway in California, the equity group out of
okay.
California, and didn't sell to his own kid. So
Really?
yeah, yeah. So it was sort of a shock, and the kid actually, when I see him at different outings and stuff, he's like, what am I gonna do? Dad sold out from underneath me. He didn't sell it to me. I
Wow.
mean, what am I gonna do? And I'm like, well, you should have had that sit down talk with him long ago, instead of him selling out to a national, equity group like Freeway was, or was, because Freeway, since I think maybe 2 or 3 years ago, they sold out too.
Okay.
So yeah, so he's not even an owner anymore. So
A lot of the frustration that I hear are from the son or daughter that is working in the existing agency, and of course obviously the younger generation is going to see things a little bit differently, and and want to adapt to more of the modern times of
mhm,
operating. And then you have the older generation that is saying, no, this works just fine, and the younger generation feels stuck.
mhm,
And then it's a matter of, I think that entrepreneurial spirit kind of takes over and says, do I want to live under this plan, or do I want to create my own plan?
yeah,
And it's amazing to me how many people I've heard in that similar scenario, or a really difficult breakup like this. I mean, you're talking about one of your best friends. That's really tough.
yeah, yeah.
But Rick sounds cutthroat. I mean,
A little bit. Um, he's for him.
yeah, right.
Um, it just I don't know whatever.
Like,
You know,
like you said, what's done is done. You move on. You decide to, no sense in looking back.
yeah, yeah. No sense in looking back and crying over spilled milk, and it was I guess it was just time for me to move on.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, it didn't happen like I wanted it to, but it's been great. It really has been, especially now that I'm sort of mentoring these Allstate people a little bit, because they only knew auto and home. They have no idea about
yeah,
commercial insurance whatsoever, and so I'm sort of mentoring them a little bit and helping them out. And they're constantly emailing me questions or texting me on my cell phone questions about commercial risks and stuff like that. So it's worked out well, and I'm having fun.
yeah.
So
Well, let's talk about something you're having fun with, which is more the social media angle, which I think you're doing a great job on that.
thank you.
And it's, as I just responded, I think on LinkedIn to you recently, about some of the things that you're doing. So I'll let you explain what you're doing on
Well,
social
you
media.
mentioned LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, I do a Tom's Tuesday tip.
Yeah.
I did one this morning while I was having my coffee, and then I'll do a Tom's Thursday thoughts, and I'll put a thought out there. It could be insurance, it could be non-insurance related, it could just be something that maybe I'm either going through or thought of, or saw somebody else's post and made a comment. So LinkedIn, I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. Facebook, I actually have. I live and work in what's called the Village of Williamsville. So I have a Everything Williamsville Facebook group, and that has, let me just see. So I got my real estate group, my Everything Williamsville group, and that has um, 2,100 members in that
Wow.
group. So I usually in that group I'm posting other businesses and promoting other businesses in that group. Um, and so I got 2,100 in that. I got uh, 16 something in the real estate group, and then I was about to start another group. I have about 25 restaurants I insure, and I was going to start one,
Hmm.
Wings of Buffalo, and we just call them wings here. We don't call them chicken wings. We don't call them buffalo
Okay.
wings. In Buffalo, we just call them wings. So I was going to do a Wings of Buffalo, and start interviewing my restaurant clients about how they make their wings and
Oh,
what's
I love
special
it.
about their
Wow, I
wings.
love it.
And I haven't done it yet, but it's in the back of my mind. And I was thinking about it when I was actually in Chicago last week with you. And so I'm thinking about, Wings of Buffalo, and just start promoting different restaurants around town, and do just what you're doing here on the podcast, just doing a podcast with the current agency owners. And then um, hopefully other restaurants would say, "Hey, Tom, I want to be on your podcast too." And hopefully I can run with that too. So
Cool.
Facebook groups work. I mean, It's really really interesting when you're an admin of the group how many people are trying to get in and figure out what you're doing. I don't know if you know what's Steve's last name. I can't think of his last name. Anyways, he's in Syracuse, which is like 2.5 hours away, and he keeps trying to post in my real estate group, and I just block him and don't let him.
Talk about some of the unique things that you're doing in Facebook groups. I know one of the Facebook groups is where you do something, and that's what I commented on the other day, I believe, is you'll have a contest with how many passing yards Josh Allen
Right.
has, and I
Correct.
think you send him a pizza or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah. Actually that's just in my own personal. It's not in a group. It's just
Okay.
on my own personal page. I do that, but I'm at the same time I'm shouting out to three
Right.
or four of my restaurant clients in the post, and then I send out a $20 gift card for a free pizza, whoever came closest to Josh Allen's yardage for that week's game. So just something fun to do. I've mentioned to you that this woman that owns a Hamburg overhead garage door, and she's not even a client, but she's a friend of mine, but she hasn't been a client. And I saw her at a meeting, and she was at Tom. Are you still doing? This is before the football season started. Are you still doing that? Guess Josh Allen's yard? Yeah, 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 Jen. I'm gonna keep doing it. So it's just something fun to do and something that gets people talking about it and stuff like that. So
Yeah, it's fun. It's interactive, and
right.
people. I How many would you say, roughly? It differs from week to week. That send in a response for that. For the,
35 to
yeah,
40, something like that. And the,
yeah,
the one friend of mine I haven't seen in 25 years said, "Yeah, I got to come in and bring all my insurance with you." But we couldn't help him. Just
yeah,
so happened he had too much, you know,
yeah.
claims wise and stuff like that. We couldn't help him, but he came in just because of the contest and just because he keeps guessing every week. And I think Jack, I think last year he won at least once. He might have won twice, but that just came out of the Facebook group or out of my little guessing Josh Allen's yardage. So
Yeah, and it's also like you noted, a gesture of goodwill for those pizzerias to give
right,
them a little
correct,
bit of shine. Yeah,
right, correct. Yep, yep,
yeah, that's
yeah.
fantastic. And how before I gloss over it, who has the best wings of buffalo?
Whew, boy, that's a that's
All
a
right, maybe
that's
a top 2 or
that's
3.
a 2020 million dollar question. It's so subjective.
Yeah, right,
Really
right.
is. It's I don't know.
Yeah,
I think one of my clients, the Wellington Pub, I think they got really good wings. Um, Bar Bill, who isn't my client, they got really good wings. It's hard to say. It's
yeah,
you put it out there and you'll get
correct.
25 different, opinions about that. So
Yeah, yeah. Talk about you're also doing a little bit on YouTube.
yeah, I learned that there's something called shorts on
Yeah.
YouTube, and I never knew about it. And let me just see. I think I got. Let me just look and see. So I started playing around with it actually before I met you in Chicago. I just want to see how many shorts I got on here. Um, so I got shorts, and I found out that so I got let's see, there's 6, 12, 17 different shorts on there that I did because I found out that uh, you have to do it from your cell phone. You can't do
Yeah.
it, online or you got to use a cell phone. And I use something, I'll tell you right now, I use Video Shop. It's an app.
Okay.
It's Video Shop and to record it. And then from there, I upload it to YouTube. And it can only be 60 seconds or less.
Yep.
And I just try. I'm more of a teacher than I am a salesperson. So I try to
Yeah.
teach people about why their claim either isn't covered or what happens when a tree falls on their garage or what happens when uh, somebody has a judgment against them, what happens? Because somebody asked me, am I forced to sell my house? Well, no, in New York, if there's a judgment against you, it attaches automatically to any real property you own. So if it's a house or a landlord, it automatically attaches. And so you can never sell or refinance your house unless you disperse that judgment or take care of it, whatever. So I put that in there. And so just little tidbits and little short little bursts of information for whoever's out there that is, following my channel and looking at my stuff. So and occasionally I'll post that in social media too. In a link. As a matter of fact, I think I did it on LinkedIn this morning. In the let me see. So you're not supposed to post it in the post itself, but I think in the comments, I put a post in the
Okay.
comments um, about go here and watch this short little YouTube video. So I have 94 impressions from. I did this at 6:30 this morning.
Yeah.
I got 94 impressions, and it's whatever 11:30 in the morning. So um,
Yeah,
that's
I've been doing those for about 6 months now.
oh, have you?
And
Yeah,
I'm really surprised the response that I've gotten. We've actually written some business from it. And I'm the same way as we should be, more from an educational standpoint. But we do have to be somewhat creative. And I think the best way, if we can, is to try and tell a story.
right.
Um, and it's
It's hard. It's
funny,
it's hard though because you only have 60 seconds, right? So it's hard to
correct?
tell a story in 60 seconds.
Yeah, you do have to be quick. And it's funny, you'll get, well, I'll get whatever, it's maybe 60, 70 views or something. And then, you know, I'll, you reference one about a tree falling on a home, and that'll get, you know, 3,000 views or something like that. And then people are questioning that's not true or whatever.
Yeah,
It's kind of
right.
funny. It's fun,
Yeah,
but
yeah. I posted last Thursday about just having the bare minimum limits of auto insurance in New York, and it's 25, 50, and 10. So the 10 number is obviously the property damage. So I posted about people don't know that if you call an 800 number, you call Geico, whatever, they're going to tell you the cheapest policy possible. You're going to get $10,000 of coverage. And how many $10,000 cars are out there on the road today? Hardly any.
none, right?
They're all newer vehicles. And I got 3,038 impressions on that post.
Yeah. And
So,
these, isn't it interesting? Sometimes you don't know what is going to take off, and I suppose
right.
it has to do with
Co-
YouTube's algorithm and all that
correct.
other stuff.
Right.
But,
Correct. Yeah. Yeah,
but
you don't know, and it's just trying to inform people and keep them abreast of what the truth is out there. That
yeah,
you know you're going online and trying to buy your own insurance, or you're calling the Geico 1-800 Geico, and they're not watching out for your best interest. They really aren't.
yeah.
They want to sell you insurance, and that's the bottom line.
They're going to be an order taker, and I've
Yeah.
I've done posts on that.
Right. Right.
Yeah, a lot of posts on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, in your view, what would make the Larsen agency better? What would you like to do to improve?
Um, I'd like to get into which we only have a few on the books, but I would like to get into more of the high net worth space.
Yeah,
Um, about probably. So this is you got to remember this is Buffalo, New York, so it's going to be different
yeah,
whatever your place your listeners are at, but within like a 5 mile radius of my office are probably 750 to $2.5 million houses,
mm,
and those are ideal for Chubb and Pure and all those other companies that are in the high net worth space. And we only write a few of those, so
yeah,
I would love to get more into that. I advertised in a local magazine, which the subdivision is called Spalding Lake and Spalding Green. And I had an ad in there for the last year and did not write one piece of business off of it. So Sometimes you fail at things and you move on. And I was hoping that write at least one a month, it would have paid for itself for the advertising, but it didn't happen. So you try other revenues like social media. You try and post in there, and hopefully draw them in instead of trying to push yourself out there with an ad in a magazine. So
Yeah, for me, I've also been a little bit more intentional about going after the high net worth household. And for me, the best way has been to try to partner with financial advisors.
gotcha.
And and if you go to them, especially, which you know I'm sure a number of them,
Oh
just
yeah,
from being around,
yeah,
and they know you and know that you're gonna do what's best for the customer. And for those, it's you're not trying to sell them the cheapest insurance. You're trying to protect them and
correct.
protect their assets as best as possible.
Right,
um, and it helps them too to be able to have a partner on their team. In my opinion, um, we should be able to partner with financial advisors and be a part of their team. And we're an important piece of what a financial advisor should be doing, which is
right,
protecting their assets.
right, correct. Yep.
So we've done, and actually, I've just connected with another one and got somebody who I've gotten a little bit of business with from, but I just sent them. And I know at Innovation we were talking about the SALT program, the data collection
Hmm.
program that we have, and with that we're able to create a referral partner link, with their picture and logo on it if they
Oh,
want, a
nice.
little bit of spiff that says, but because it was so easy for him to now refer, he was super excited about it.
Yeah,
He wanted to get it approved through his compliance to make sure it was okay to send something like that out. But he's talking about bringing it to meetings and just uh, making it a piece of their original portfolio, because especially now with all the changes specifically in the home insurance market, people need to be looking at
yeah, right.
how they're
Yep.
protected. So yeah, that's been my best avenue, and it's something that I'm going to continue to work on in 2024, because I think that's just the best connection.
Yeah, I no, I
Um,
agree, and I think that sometimes people don't understand the how, like, because I think you're a lot like me, how you care more about protecting them than selling them insurance. You know what I mean? Like you really have the mindset that
you want to
you're
be the
really there to
advisor.
help them, and you're not there to just sell them a policy and move on. You're really there to protect them and make sure that they have the proper coverages. So
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. Um, Last question here before we let you go for the day. What as you've grown and now you have a team, that you work with, what's been your biggest challenges as a business owner?
hmm. Um, I guess I'm big, huge on culture inside the four walls here. And I think my biggest challenge is finding the right people that fit into that culture. And I think I have it now. My lady that runs my office, Heidi, she's been with me since day one. So there's over a 20-year relationship there, and she
Mm,
does a
20 years.
fantastic job. And then my two full timers, in addition to her, one's only been here 4 years, and the other one in January will be 3 years. So I think I finally, in the past, I hired. There's a big Geico office in my backyard.
Mm.
It has 2,000 employees at it. And in the past, I hired a couple people from there because they were already licensed, they already trained, but it didn't work out. I always like Geico, we didn't do it that way. Like Geico, we didn't do it that way. Like Geico, we didn't do it that way. We're independent brokers. We got 20 something companies where everyone's everyone has their own platform that the way they do things, and Geico, it's just, one way of doing
Yep.
things, their way, and that's it. And it's like a silo. And instead of, doing things 20 different ways, you have to learn how to adapt with all these different companies that we have. And they didn't adapt. And so that was my fault. Another failure that I learned over the years, but I think I finally got the right mix of people in my office, and they get along. So I think I have the right culture right now.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Good. I agree. That is something that is, yeah, it's very challenging. And then even going back to your just, touching on hiring, it's just, those are the challenges that we run into of, we develop our specialty of being involved in insurance. And well, now we need to expect ourselves to always hire the right person and always outsource to the right group and grab the right tech. That's not our specialty.
Right.
You know,
Right.
we know liability and physical damage, and
Yeah.
now that's it's a challenge,
Yeah.
and people are always a challenge. So
Yeah.
and you learn as you go. You learn as you go. We're all going to make mistakes. Hopefully we can limit the damage along the way.
Yeah. And sometimes, you make that mistake of hiring somebody else's problems. They're bad training, or they're improper training, and you want to hire them because they have that license on the wall, and so you don't have to get them licensed because they're already licensed. But sometimes you make that mistake and hire the wrong party.
Yeah.
So you know.
Yeah, I'll share this. I've done this my last two, and I'm hiring right now, so it's my second time going through this program. But I last hired 6 months ago, and I used a group called Ideal Traits. I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
I've heard of them. I haven't
Yeah.
never used them.
So great platform. It's basically is offers you a hiring platform, gives you a hiring dashboard where you can put ads out, and they're going to do a lot of the work for you to send out to all the different hiring platforms, Indeed, Monster, ZipRecruiter, all these different places. And so all the applicants respond to with their resume to a dashboard, and then they're sent a personality trait test that they do, as long as a problem solving uh, test and a short answer. So it really gives you, before you even speak to somebody,
Hmm.
gives you a lot of information about the person. You get to see their written communication skills, a little bit on this problem solving quiz, which I had always wanted to. We all want problem solvers, right? We don't
Right.
want somebody knocking at our door
Right.
every time they can't find something
Right.
on Progressive screen. Um, and then, yeah, so it just offers so much information before you even talk to them. So it's been
Hmm.
such a relief. Um, last time I was able to, I narrowed, I think I had about 60 applicants, narrowed it down to 8 to do a phone interview, and then down to 3 to do a final interview. It was nice to have a selection.
Yeah.
And I have that now. In fact, the end of the week, I start my phone interviews. And it's been the reverse of what I've had in the last couple times that I've went through a hiring practice.
Yeah.
I'm
Nice.
selected between two candidates.
Hmm.
You know, that's not going to be a good recipe. So,
Right.
yeah, I
Yeah.
just thought I'd share that.
Yeah. And that's the
So,
hardest part of our business, is finding that quality person that, you know, gets it. It gets what you're trying to do, gets what you're trying to accomplish, and agrees with your value system, so to speak.
yeah, and we get better at explaining that.
Right. Correct.
I think early on, I just thought people could read my mind. Well, can't you see what I'm doing here? And they can't.
Yeah. I know.
So,
I know.
hey, Tom, this has been great.
Okay.
I appreciate you taking the time. I
Yeah.
knew it was gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, really appreciate you
Yeah. It's been
joining me
great.
today. I know you have a full schedule, so I'm gonna keep watching. You keep putting those posts out there,
Sounds
and
good.
everybody else, thank you for listening to another episode of the Agents to Owners podcast, and we'll see you next week.
Okay. Thanks, Brad. Appreciate it.